Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Land Down Under Hangout. Tonight we are reading, or we're talking about reading the book Network Effect by Martha Wells, which is the 5th book in the Murderbot series, which was my pick. I picked it because I loved the rest of the series so much, and I knew a lot of other people in the group really liked it too. So it was
There it is in its shiny glory.
Yes, I had to read mine in 2 days because or a day and a half because I kept waiting for a copy from the library, which never turned up. Obviously, we are not the only ones who like Murderbot because it was hard to get a hold of. So I had to read it at the last minute. So, but yeah. Should I go first? I guess I'll go first.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I knew I probably would because I really enjoyed the others. I think this is the first full-length novel compared to the others, which are all novellas, and I really enjoyed that. I generally prefer novels to novellas. And I think we got a lot of fleshing out of Murderbot's character in this book, which I really liked. And I was laughing out loud in the beginning because I'd forgotten how much I really enjoyed her. It. I always say her, even though, I mean, it. I don't know why I kind of read it as female when I shouldn't be, but it could be just the author's voice coming through for me, but it's a thing that I do. I was really happy to see Asshole Research Transport back again. That was really cool. But yeah, I really liked it, and I'm glad to see a little bit of development of the character coming through there. Elizabeth, what did you think?
Okay, well, caveat with this is I read this quite a few months ago, and I only got 70 pages into a reread this time around, so my memory is a little sketchy in places. Basically, I really enjoyed it. I was delighted to see Art back. I really loved the voice of Murderbot. It's what really makes the novel for me. I had quibbles about the ending. I felt like it used an element that is very popular in novels increasingly at the moment, and I'm getting a little bit over that, but I can discuss that more later.
Yep. Kim.
I absolutely loved it. I devoured it in no time. I did the audiobook. I know that some people didn't want to do it because they were worried that they'd have that sort of gender thing, but I did the same as Kirsten while I read it as female. It was actually a male narrator this time. So that probably helped a bit for me to try and get out of my headspace trying to read it as female. But yeah, I was trying to work through that, trying not to, but it's just in my head. It's hard to get out. So yeah, I loved seeing Art back. That was great. I mean, we knew Art wasn't gone. We always knew Art wasn't gone. There was no way Art could be gone. I really enjoyed getting to know more of like Mensa's family and that whole sort of family dynamic and how the family sort of structured. That was quite interesting. I liked the I keep forgetting her name because I was getting two of the names mixed up, and I read it like a month ago now, so I can't. The one she was contracted
Amina.
to.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Amina. I really liked her. I think she did really read as a teenager too, but a mature teenager, I guess. But they didn't like adultify her too much. She was still a bit of a teenager, just like going out into the world, you know, when you're in your 20s and you're thrust out of school, 18, 19, 20, thrust out of school and into a new world and trying to navigate that. Yeah, and I enjoyed, you know, the action. I really love the action and that she just murders everything.
Not as much in this book. It was a lot more like, oh, I might actually not kill this person. I don't think
just all the
would like it.
All the targets brutally without mercy.
David, what did you think?
I love Murderbot. I really do.
and it seems like it's everyone misgenders Murderbot, myself included. I've only actually ever heard the audiobooks, but Murderbot would just go ew at the thought of getting violent. I really love what how Murderbot's characters developed over time. It's what I've always loved about the series. You've got this, someone who's been like brought up to think that they're just property and just a mindless killing machine, and only through soap operas do they actually manage to not go on a rampage, which would be the normal sane reaction to that sort of stuff. But yeah, we're just seeing him her go see do the same thing. Male narrator go through like stuff that you see in child development just alongside epic violence. They're very obvious, like the only sane part of Murderbot that's actually calm and chill is when they're utterly divorced from their body. They cannot deal with the idea of having feelings, much less, going through grief. And it's basically this really twisted coming of age story that never ends. I love art. I love the fact that despite the way art's portrayed, art seems to be this, seems to be growing up just as much as everyone else, just can hide it a bit better. But no, I really love the story. I could talk like for hours as if I was like watching Rise and Fall of Sanctuary Moon. So yeah, I'll stop talking now because otherwise I'll just keep talking enthusiastically.
Matt, what did you think?
Well, it's a Murderbot story, so I loved it straight out, from the get-go. I did have a couple of things that I didn't like as much about this one, and we can talk about that in a bit more detail later. But part of it is the amount of character development and how and where it occurs, and the other part is the pacing and the expansion of this into a full-size novel versus a novella. But I still really enjoyed it, and these are relatively minor things. I don't want to sort of make it sound like I had any real problems with it. These are just things I would have liked to have been slightly different. And yeah, I really like when Murderbot's describing like the tactics of like what's going on in a battle, and it's like, I've got to do this now, this shit's happening, that's fucked up, now I'm going to do this, and like take out these people and send the drones and do like I love all that tactical nonsense. It's great.
And like, I'm in the middle of a fight, but like I've got a little bit of spare time. I might watch a little bit of my TV show while I'm
Wait for that
I'm sure there
distraction.
was a part where it was going down like an elevator or something. It was in the middle of a fight, and it was like, I'm just going to watch a little bit of that Sanctuary Moon. Like, I don't need all my processing power for whatever thing's going on here. I'm just going to watch a bit of this while I'm doing it. I'm like, oh my God.
But the other thing is like I'll have an emotional breakdown while hacking this thing at the same time.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that relationship with art, and it's trying to come to terms with thinking that art is dead and not really understanding grief, and what it hadn't really even admitted to itself how much art meant to it. So it was good. I found that really interesting. Although I'm sitting on the couch reading, and because Matt was finished, like, art's not really dead, is he? Art's not dead, right? And he's like got this like poker face. Give me something.
I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to tell you either way. You got to get there yourself.
Bonus points if you can fake tears.
I love it. On that front, I wanted to say how much I think the title is brilliant, because it's all about Murderbot and Murderbot's friends. And so Network Effect, I think, is like a brilliant title for a novel about these things.
I didn't even think of it like that. Didn't even really think of the title. Yeah, that is.
Yeah. And about making connections and why connections are important, and why you can't just be by yourself all the time, even if you think you want to.
And also, if you make a connection, you might get an alien remnant virus. So that's a bad thing too.
Yeah.
It works in multiple levels, so it's really good.
Now there's another one of them I have to save. Yeah.
The virus at the end made me think a lot of the proto-molecule from The Expanse.
That was my big quibble with the ending, is that kind of particular trope, I guess, is getting used a lot in different novels, and like especially with the kind of parasite fungus angle. Very popular in a lot of novels lately. I won't say which ones because it's often a spoiler. But yeah, I'm getting a bit over it. Like I said, I think it worked fine in this, but you know, I don't want to see it too many more times.
Yeah.
I have the benefit that I just don't get around to reading that much besides book club books. So it's I don't get sick of tropes so easily because I just don't consume them enough.
Yeah.
It's
your mileage may
especially
vary.
it's especially with stuff that's come out in the last year or two. So
Interesting.
Oh yeah, I'd understand
Would that stuff
Yeah,
have
I wonder
been written
why
like
that is.
pre-pandemic though? Like if it was being published?
well, obviously, like The Expanse has the drop on it. Stuff that's I would say some of it is stuff that's been published pre-pandemic.
Or maybe stuff that's been picked up during, written before but picked up. No.
No, I would say pre-pandemic.
Yep.
A chunk of it at least.
Interesting.
Because I mean, like publishing lead times are long.
Yeah.
So.
Or do you
That's what
think
I'm
maybe
like,
it's just is it possible, are these from like popular authors, or is it possible that they're just being boosted more because of the pandemic? And we're hearing more about those particular types of stories.
No, let me think. I like some of the I mean the ones that I've come across, they're all like well-respected names in the genre, or like really up and coming stuff. So stuff that is getting a fair bit of attention. So we'll see. But yeah, that was just a bit of a quibble for me.
I definitely in the scene when they got into the like the control room bit where there was like the body that had all the connections coming out of it, I was picturing the scene in The Expanse.
It's like Julie.
Yeah, that was what was in my head, and I was like, is it just because I've read that series and watched the TV show and I know it really well that's where my brain jumps? It's like because I do that, like in my head, Art's voice sounds like M-Bot from the Starsight series. I don't know if that's what the series is called, but you know the one that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like, because I listened to the audiobook for that. Now I have that voice in my head for Art as well, which is I don't know why.
Oh, don't worry, I've got Hal in my head for Art's voice.
Did you say Hal?
Hal, yeah.
As in House
From
and
Space
Castle?
Odyssey.
No, Hal,
okay.
like Hal 9000.
Hal.
Right,
Sorry,
right, I got it now.
Oh, sorry, I thought I was saying Howl. Yeah, that would be weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with that sort of trope being used a lot is that it becomes predictable. I have seen it used once recently in a way that was a little bit different, which I respected. Like it took it and did something a little bit different with it, which I was like, yeah, okay, I will. I respect that. But that's been like the only one, and I can't say which one because it's a spoiler.
So this is the problem of reading too many books. For me, this is like only like maybe the third book that I've read that's had that kind of trope in it. So it's still not overdone for me. But if it's turning up everywhere and you're reading stuff all the time,
I mean, I can think of at least 3 other books that uses it. At least 3 other books that uses it that's come out in the last couple of years. So it's getting a bit worn.
Fair enough. Matt, you said you had a couple of things that bothered you. What were they?
Yeah, like again, bother seems like a strong word. It's just like things that I would like to be slightly different, I guess. The first one, I felt like in the previous novellas, each one there was, and this still happened in this one too, but in a different way. I felt like there was a, Murderbot's character has evolved over the book, and it's probably just because being in the shorter format, it's more noticeable about how it happens. It kind of both my issues kind of tie in together, I think. I had trouble with the pacing of the book, particularly for the first half. And I was feeling at times like there was a lot of padding to try and to fill a story that could have worked in a shorter format, just like the others, into a fuller novel. Again, that's just how it felt to me. And because of that, I felt like most of Murderbot's development actually kind of got compressed towards the end of the book. And there's a lot of, there were some things like Murderbot 2.0 and SecBot 3 that kind of spurred some of that, but it all kind of clumped together for me at the end a bit. And yeah, I don't know if it was just because I felt like it was trying to be a novel when it could have been shorter. I don't know, but that's really the only thing that I was like, I would like to change this would actually just be to shorten it slightly, or to change or add something to the narrative a little bit more in the first part. It just didn't feel quite as fleshed in that first half as I would have liked. But otherwise, yeah, I still really loved it. It's great.
It does make me think that if it had been made into a movie, they'd probably cut the scene at the beginning with the boat. Like,
yeah, the very first bit with the
I see what you're saying. And I definitely, like I seem to recall that when I first read through it, I did also feel like there were some pacing issues. But at the same time, like, I feel like a lot of that first stuff is about developing relationships, and I think that's really important to the theme of the book. And that opening scene in particular really establishes like the relationship between Murderbot and is it Thiago?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Thiago?
That's how I said it in my head. I said Thiago.
Thiago.
I kept thinking of
Thiago.
Iago, the parrot from Aladdin.
Also the character from Othello, but anyway.
Yeah.
I kind of think that that's important, because like you're really setting up like what has happened with Mensa, and because that is a really central relationship for Murderbot. And then from Mensa comes all these other people who have kind of also become a bit important to Murderbot in a way, mostly because they're important to Mensa. As much as it is like an action book, it's also like it's very like it's about Murderbot and friends.
Yeah.
So you need to have the and friends for the book to work.
And I think that's what I like about it. Like, I don't think I'm not one to read just pure action very much. I need the character stuff there as well, and I did enjoy that. And I loved in the beginning that Murderbot was like, she did something that was it was related to being a hormonal human that I didn't understand. Like, yep, that's all right. Other humans don't understand hormonal teenagers either. I thought that was funny, but I liked the way that they were they didn't understand its relationship with Mensa. They were like, I don't get it. I don't understand why she trusts Murderbot. I don't understand why Murderbot is here and what's like. And I liked that they kind of got it by the end. They were like, I get it now. I get what your relationship is now.
I also like.
And I think,
sorry, go ahead.
I think it was also they didn't quite understand the trauma that she'd been through because she wasn't talking about it. They didn't understand how big a role Murderbot played in what happened to Mensa, and how like how much danger she was in. So they
Mm.
really didn't understand why she was so connected to her, because Mensa wasn't telling them how dangerous everything had been and how serious it was. Sorry, I have a cat crying on me.
Not the internet without some cats.
Yeah.
Did we lose David at some point?
What we have.
Oh, we
yeah.
did.
He left just after he did his
Yeah.
talk.
Oh,
I don't
so
know
it was
whether
on purpose? It wasn't.
or
Oh,
not.
okay.
Yeah.
So Perry, who's going to say Perry, or is that reserved for its crew? Does Art doesn't have a gender assigned, does he?
I just go by Art.
I don't think any
I'm
bots
not going to
do.
start calling it Perry.
No, it's Art always.
I didn't even know who you were talking about at first. I'm like, who's Perry?
Because it's like when I heard
realize.
when the character's first like, oh, Perry, and I'm like, oh, they've obviously got a different relationship with this
Yes, but
this
when
bot here.
Murderbot, like, I call it Arthur Research, where he said, they were like, oh, well, you know it then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, one of the other things that I like, so I'm only like 70 pages into my reread, so it's just all that Murderbot has just discovered is that the aliens have wiped Art, and I love how it's not in control of its motions. It's just reacting and surprised to find itself so angry and that sort of thing. It was just really beautifully done.
Yeah. I'm looking for if the way that it ended is a clue to the next book, that it's the next book is going to be the mission that they go on together. I'm all for that, because I really like the relationship between Murderbot and Art. And I think I love that what was the name of Mina, the teenage girl, was kept like being like,
You guys need a room or something?
Tell me about your relationship. It's like the word relationship was like,
We don't have a relationship.
Oh, and the whole Murderbot 2.0, and it's like, you're gonna have a baby, and they're like, it's not a baby. I'm not having a baby.
It's like, it kind of is. I'm actually looking forward to. I'm assuming that Sec Unit 3 is going to stick around, and I want to see. I'm interested to see how a different Sec Unit, because the whole idea that are they kind of essentially the same template, and that they all or is they're obviously there's different personalities already. We can get that, even though there's not a lot of, but just like seeing how they diverge and whether.
I reckon Murderbot's going to give it a bunch of soap operas, and it's going to to be like, why do you like this?
I don't know. What's this crap? Yeah. And then they'll be like, I thought this was going to be seeing where they're different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fugitive Telemetry is the next book. It's a novella. Again, they've gone back to novellas, and I think it's came out just last month.
Oh wow!
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's in Australia. It might only be in the US. I'm not entirely sure. But if it's not out already, then it's out soon.
Might check my library for it, because they were so good at delivering on the last one.
I mean, I feel like it's the kind of book that is so popular that it's probably worth just buying a copy, especially if you really, really enjoyed the previous one.
Well, the thing was, we did buy a copy, but Matt was reading it. So the plan had been, we buy one copy, we borrow one copy from the library, and then we don't have to wait for the other person to finish reading. And then it was like, the library's taking too long. Matt, hurry up and finish with yours. Are you done yet? Are you done yet?
Look, I have to have some sympathy. The reason I only got 70 pages into my reread is because I borrowed the new Becky Chambers novel from the library, which is called The Galaxy and the Ground Within. And when I brought it home, like it must have been a month ago, my partner nicked off with it. And he's a slower reader than I am. And it's due back at the library on the weekend, so I had to prioritize that over Murderbot, unfortunately, since I'd already read Murderbot.
I imagine you're not going to be able to renew it because there'll be someone else waiting.
No, I can't. It's got quite a long queue, so it was read it or lose it. So Murderbot lost out, unfortunately.
It is out.
Yep.
It
No,
is
but the
out?
library's got it too. I'm reserving it
Oh,
right now.
really?
And I can wait for this one because I don't have a deadline. So I'm going to have to tell
Yeah.
it I don't want the other one
Um,
right now.
I will
Well,
buy
it's
my copy.
It is a novella, so the book club might decide to schedule it in their short
Mm.
reads.
I wouldn't be
um,
surprised.
somewhere along the way. Everyone look out for that. But is there anything else that we wanted to say about network effect before we diverge too far away?
I really just loved, I agree with what you said, Elizabeth, the voice of Murderbot, like just, especially at the very beginning, seeing where it was a bit lighter, I was just killing myself laughing so many times as I've forgotten how much I enjoyed that character. And when it kept saying stupid boats, it must have said the word stupid in front of the word boat. Every time it said boat, it was a stupid boat. The stupid boat, the humans were on the stupid boat. It's just, it cracked me up so much. Every time it's like, why do they do this shit? It's just making my life
I just
difficult.
love their constant sarcasm. I love it.
It was pretty great. In fact, reading it, because like Kirsten, I laughed out loud quite a lot.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that experience of reading reminded me a lot of reading Terry Pratchett, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It's not quite the same because Terry Pratchett is more like satire than sarcasm per se, but that kind of experience of like very observational stuff that just rings so true and you can really identify with just makes me laugh out loud.
Yep, I was reading it at work, and I was in my office with my teacher aide, and you could tell she was like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm trying to explain the book to her, and she's just looking at me like I'm insane because I'm telling her it's about this security robot that it hacks its governor module so that it doesn't have to do as it's told anymore, but all it wants to do is watch soap operas. And she's like looking at me like, this is the strangest book I've ever heard you talk about.
Yeah, you had to be there.
Yeah, exactly.
One thing we should probably say about the book is that I feel like it's necessary to have read the other novellas.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is not an entry point, really, especially for its relationship to art.
Yes.
I feel like you need to have read about that before you go into the novel, and then you've got like all of Mensa's stuff behind that as well. So I feel like it is necessary to have read the other books.
I do think the author did a good job of doing that thing where they remind you about what happened in the previous books without making it too much of an info dump. Like, because I hadn't read, like I read the other ones once and it was a while ago. And they kind of went, oh, that thing that happened, when we were doing this thing. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. That was the thing that happened. I remember now. So, like, there was enough little touching on the previous events to remind me. But I think if you hadn't read the others, that would make no sense. And you'd be like, what are they talking about? And you really would have that feeling of, I'm missing something here. So, yeah, definitely read the others first if you haven't done that.
Like, I feel like some of the things you can infer, okay, if you haven't read it before, as you said, Kirsten. Martha Wells does a good job of like touching on it. But you do need that establishing relationship with Mensa and with art for the book to really work.
Yeah, definitely. But the others are short, so it's easy. Just go back and read them.
Oh.
When I did my first read of Network Effect, I went and read all the novellas first and then went on and read Network Effect.
Yeah, I didn't have time for that. But yeah, it was actually really good. I didn't feel like, because a lot of those minor details blur, but I didn't feel like I needed to remember every single thing. Because like you said, the main things I needed to know about were the relationships, which were the things that I remembered. So
I keep having this thought that Murderbot 2.0 might not have ended up being
completely
destroyed. And maybe it might not end up being the only non-corporeal Murderbot as well.
Time will tell.
I had this little moment of like, oh, this going to end up like the Bobs, where there's like it starts replicating itself, and there's like little.
I did start thinking that actually. When they started making coffees, I was like, oh, here we go.
And like that was something else that I appreciated as well. It was reasonably subtle, but there was still enough of a difference in the way that the character spoke to be different from the original Murderbot personality.
Yeah,
which I thought was quite probably a tricky thing to pull off writing wise, without like going too extreme in one direction to make them really difficult, but like being subtle enough that you can pick up that, okay, this is from the same mold, but not quite the same.
Well, Murderbot has got quite a distinctive voice. I haven't read any of Martha Wells' other stuff yet. I think I've got one of the first of her fantasy books around somewhere, but it's a fantasy book. I think it's going to be quite different from Murderbot. So she must be relatively like flexible with her writing style, from what I could gather. I guess more research is needed on that one.
She seems to have done quite a bit of fantasy, actually.
Like this is not like Murderbot's not her first
no
go at the rodeo, so to speak.
I've read one of her Star Wars novels, actually. There you go.
Did you realize that or did you just look that
No,
up?
at the time I hadn't. None. I don't think any of the Murderbot ones had come out when that was out. So when I read it, it was just another, because they, with a lot of those licensed properties, they have the rotating roster of writers who come through and do a few novels, and then someone else comes in and they'll do a few novels. So it was just another writer that I hadn't heard of at the time. Obviously, I've heard of now, but it was good.
Yeah, Murderbot's been really big for her career.
Dun, dun.
Sorry, that's my phone.
So I'm guessing, any more points?
No, sorry.
No. We should probably call our Mel back.
When we have one of those books that everyone really likes and doesn't really have any problems with, and
Yeah, just can't talk about books you like.
It is hard when it's like, I just really liked it, and
Oh, I think we've had some interesting points to make about it. But it's harder when you basically all agree about it. It's a good book.
Yeah, and I think I kind of scammed the system a bit when I chose this, because I knew everybody would like it, because I knew everybody had liked the other Murderbot. So unless something went really wrong with this one and it took a weird turn, I knew that most people would enjoy it. And I was looking forward to reading it, so that was the other reason I picked it, because I was like, well, if I pick this, I will get to read it. Because at the moment, I don't get time to read much other than the book club pick and whatever audio book I've got going at the time, which at the moment is like book 6 of Wheel of Time. So that's going to keep me going for a while, because there's, I think, 14 of those books.
Oh, yeah.
And they're all really, really long. So I picked this because I wanted to read it.
Yep.
Which is a good reason to pick a book.
Exactly.
Are you guys all finished?
Yeah, I think we're all done. So thank you for joining us. I think our next book, I can't remember, Mel, you might
We're doing Shuri next, the graphic novel.
Yeah, so we're doing Shuri next, the graphic novel for a mini pick, and the next full novel pick is my pick, which is The Bird King by G. Willow Wilson.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. All right, cool. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.